Hey, it's nice to meet you.
Hi, how are you?
Doing well.
So we have very little time. I'm going to jump right in.
Perfect.
This is a story that hasn't been told yet. This is very different from all the shows we've seen Henry in. So how was it for you to play this early Henry where he's in love, he's young, he's not like a despot yet?
Yeah, I'd agree. He definitely isn't a despot. Certainly in this first season, he isn't. Um, I was probably happier playing the young teenage version of him off the bat because he's been so depicted as this tyrannical despot that at least to play the lovesick puppy, the teenager trying to get out of the shadow of his parents, that's just normal teenage things. And so in the first season, he was just a normal teenager that maybe went on to become Henry VIII. And then, of course, in the second season now, we get to experience the fruit of his growing up and become a little bit darker and see that journey along the way as really terrible circumstances happen to him, how he reacts often quite poorly, and it alienates a lot of people he loves and ends up hurting a lot of people. As an actor, that's a really interesting and exciting adventure.
I think you're doing a great job, really. Would you like to explore more of these darker sides of him as the show goes on?
Yeah, the darker stuff is really hard to break, but also like the most interesting part of him, I feel, because I had to really justify how he could hurt people in his court, how he could go from trusting someone one day to completely feeling betrayed by them and then maybe having them killed. And I found that it was really through the suffering and the circumstances that I could justify his behavior. But the writing had it all there. I didn't have to suddenly show up on set one day and just be Henry VIII killing people. You get to see that, you know, his son dies, or there's many miscarriages. He's betrayed by people. That he just feels like he has no firm footing in the world, and he just starts lashing out. He feels like a cat just backed up into a dead end in an alley, you know, and he's going to scratch his way out. And I would consider myself quite gentle and not combative. When I get emotional, I always feel like sorry for myself. So it was a real challenge to become someone who is more outward facing in their anger and just how they deal with emotional volatility.
Maybe we see a more human side of him, how he became to be the kind of person he was after.
Yeah, exactly. I think when you go along with the journey, it's as there's a phrase that every mother of the person on death row knows that their son wasn't evil or something. It's a much more snappy phrase than that, but it's just if
Yeah,
you've seen someone's development, that say there's a mother of someone who's on death row for some horrific murder, they've probably seen the abuse that happened to them along the way, and though they can't excuse their behavior, they understand why they almost had no choice but to act the way that they did. And
absolutely.
I feel like that was really important for the audience to understand in this season, because otherwise he's just lashing out at his wife for no reason, or he's betraying his friends for no reason. And I think through emotional pain, that was the best way for me to tell the story, at least. And it was the only way I really could see to do it.
Yeah, because we also see his relationship with his mom, like all the women in his life. He kind of has this Norman Bates situation going on with
Yeah.
his mom.
Yeah, that's
So
really that's the
really
way I put it.
interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, he was raised by women as well. His brother was going to be king, his older brother, and they didn't want women raising the future king. So he had a male household growing up separate from Henry's. But because Henry was only the spare, he was raised by his grandmother and his mother. His mother taught him how to write. And it meant that he had a very different relationship with women as compared to many monarchs that had gone before him. And you could see that he's obsessed with women. He has 6 wives. You know, he really seemed to believe in love or a value to finding the right partner. Maybe we don't agree with the way he went about getting rid of some of those
Yeah.
partners, but we've all had bad breakups, you know. And I think like the really great thing about this story is that it's been told through Catherine of Aragon's eyes, but also the other women of the court. And I'm sure that's valid for lots of other kings, but for Henry, women were central in his understanding of the world. His grandmother taught him how to be a king. And he said when his mother died, he would never recover from it. So I think it's just fitting that his story's been told through the eyes of women.
That's amazing. Something new. I mean, you also see people of color in the Tudor time, which is absolutely new, and it's great, and I love it. You mentioned Catherine, obviously. How is working with Charlotte? You have great chemistry on screen. Do you get just as well off screen?
Yeah, so we're really close because we went on this great adventure with the first season. It was our biggest job I think we both ever had. It's quite safe to say. And we were living in beautiful Bristol and going to work every day and getting to fall in love as characters. And our characters were idealistic and hopeful at that point, even though some terrible things were happening, they were still idealistic. And at the same time, we were quite idealistic about our careers and about our place in the world. And then as we go to the second season, a bit more time has passed, both for them and for us. And our relationship has matured. And, we know each other so well now. We care for each other so much that we can bicker like a married couple on occasion, on set, and also really help each other through. But it felt like a much more grown up relationship than the kind of heady whirlwind adventure we went on the first season. We came back to something that we knew, and the emotional material was going to be a lot heavier. And it felt right that our relationship was more mature between each other. But we adore each other. We spent a lot of time with each other during lockdown because I live in London. I don't have that many friends here, and she really cared for me. And yeah, it's certainly a relationship I'm going to have for life.
Oh, that's lovely. Well, this is my last question. We're running out of time. This is a history lesson, this show, but at the end of the day, it's also an entertainment show. So
Yes.
what can we expect from the show that's not like just history book?
Yeah, of course. I think it's entertainment, or it's an artistic study rather than history, because the most important part, certainly for me, is not the historical facts, it's the emotional journey. And the emotional journey in season 2 is quite dark. It's about the death of children and miscarriages, and these are things that happen today. It isn't just a king had his head cut off for some arcane reason from olden times which doesn't relate to today. These are people in a real relationship really suffering under the weight of circumstances, and that happens in all our relationships. We might really love someone, but the circumstances are so hard on us and we deal with them so poorly that it could either tear us apart, or in better circumstances, maybe some couples therapy push us together. But there wasn't couples therapy back then, so they probably could have done with Esther Perel or something.
Well, thank you so much, Roy, for the time. This was amazing. I hope everything is all right over there. Maybe we'll speak soon again.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that.
Bye.
Bye.